So, all three of these albums, plus Fall Out Boy, were Patreon requested almost as soon as the Patreon pledges opened back up. Oh, guys, look, can you do me a favor in the future? Please try to space out your requests a little bit. Oh my god. I know I said the opposite of that a long time ago, but that was back when we were a bit smaller, and I'd be lucky to get like 5 requests across 5 months. For future reference, it'd just be lovely for my sanity if you wouldn't mind, give me a little bit of time here and there. Anyway, what do we have on the ticket first? Oh, okay, yeah, COC, I can get down with that. Though, man, in some respects, Corrosion of Conformity can be a difficult-ass band to talk about. They've gone through so many shifts in sounds and lineups over the years, it almost feels like you're getting into a whole new band with every new album they put out. You can actually tell a lot about a person's taste depending on what their favorite COC albums are. In fact, here's a fun game. Based on what you guys know about my tastes, what do you think my favorite COC albums are? I'll give you a minute. Yeah, I'm that weirdo that likes Eye for an Eye and Animosity. Hey, given my love for punk and thrash, of course I'm gonna jam out to that. But most people, if they're into COC, probably jumped on somewhere in the old Pepper Keenan days, probably around Deliverance, when the band transitioned into more of this weird hybrid of sludge, stoner metal, and southern rock. All of those are genres that I have less interest in personally, but hey, to their credit, I would say the Pepper Keenan stuff is definitely the most compelling work of their catalog. Mostly. And this album marks Keenan's return to the band after 13 years away on other projects. And after listening to No Cross, No Crown, man, I just gotta say it, even as someone who generally tends to like the pepperless version of this group, man, these guys just aren't firing on all cylinders without him. Man, this was pretty good. I dug the self-titled album, though 2014's 9 did feel a little too on the loose and flabby side. Keenan's return marks the return of a lot of power and force into the music. Stuff like The Luddite, Cast the First Stone, Forgive Me, and ELM all have those thick, meaty as fuck riffs, solos, and percussion work that draws a lot from classic rock staples like Thin Lizzy or Deep Purple. It's chunky, old-school feeling metal. Stuff that, while it certainly does have one foot planted in the sludgier material they're celebrated for, also has enough stomp and speed to, help keep you from falling asleep. It's got a decent amount of energy for what it is, but the album also takes things into more doomier and apocalyptic feeling realms, such as Nothing Left to Say and the title track. And while these slower tracks don't resonate as well with me personally, I don't know, you know my goofy punk rock ass. I hear a tempo under a Dante and I start to foam at the mouth a bit. But these songs still possess a great deal of crushing, pulverizing intensity that will leave a lot of you satisfied. Overall, the new COC is totally banging. Probably their best work in a good long while. Though as predictable as it may seem, this is the part of the review where I say that all too familiar phrase, it isn't exactly perfect. And it isn't. You guys know how much I can't stand transitionary instrumental fluff tracks. Well, this album has 4 of them, spread out across roughly 5.5 minutes, so not at all the worst offender I've ever covered, but look, come on, at 58 minutes, this album's already a smooch longer than it really needs to be. Again, I just gotta fall back onto my usual rationale for this kind of thing. If you're gonna stick 5 arbitrary minutes of runtime onto your album, then either write a kick-ass song with those 5 minutes, or don't waste our bloody freaking time. Also, Corrosion of Conformity, while they've always been a band that's mixed up their style a lot, I still wouldn't say they're the absolute best at what they do. I mean, still pretty good stuff all around, but there just isn't much here that you couldn't perhaps find on, say, a new Clutch record, or a Crowbar, or even a Sleep record. That's eventually coming out this year, right? I mean, it's certainly fine for what it is. It's the kind of record that, while it'll probably please a ton of old fans, actually I think a lot of the old fans will be really satisfied with this. It still won't do much to convey new followers into the cause, you know what I mean? But hey, nobody says that they have to. No Cross, No Crown is a solid-ass effort from a solid-ass band. If Deliverance is your gospel, put this bad boy on, light up a bowl, and enjoy the ride, homie. It's pretty legit. No Cross, No Crown gets 3.5 crosses out of 5 crowns. How about for the next album we discuss, we swing to the near opposite side of the spectrum here and talk about pop punk. Yeah, Waterparks. Another one of those myriad of pop punk bands helping the swelling tidal wave of pop punk become ever and ever more swollen. I remembered spinning their full-length debut, Double Dare, back in 2016 when it dropped. But truth be told, the fact that I did listen to it was about all I could remember from it. I didn't hate the experience. In fact, I remembered enjoying it for what it was back then. But no song, riff, or moments ever really stuck with me apart from the time when I was listening to it. And B, whatever fond memories I did have from that pretty much got washed away from the flood of more interesting pop punk stuff we got in 2017. A lot like one of the set pieces from a Double Dare obstacle course, that album was all kinda in one ear and out the other. Obviously, they were a band with some potential. They needed to find an identity or some kind of wow factor that they could claim to be theirs and only theirs, you know? Especially now that the competition for them is ramped up to an absolute boiling point. So, is Entertainment more entertaining? Well, yes and no. This album definitely has more memorable moments on it. If only because it actually has a handful of songs I can actually remember. Blonde is a nice, jumpy, poppy little bit of snark to help get the album started. Not Warriors is a lovely little blend of pop-punky, crunchy guitar riffs and some absolutely delicious electronica elements weaved into the mix. Gee, almost like pop-punk and electronica are two genres that can go hand in hand rather nicely if you don't absolutely cock it the fuck up. Tantrum. Damn, this song is almost full-blown alt-rock with how aggro and punch in the face it is. Like, pop-punk doesn't usually get this forceful. I rather liked it. A few more tracks like this and they might have to drop the whole pop from their classification completely. And Crybaby is a much slower track that again utilizes electronica and synth melodies to great effect in helping to amp up their intensity. Again, albums like this just make Mania that much more embarrassing. Overall, I'd say I had a much better time with Entertainment. Though I don't know if I'd call this album of the year material. Again, while this truly seems to be a habit the boys in the band are breaking out of, there were plenty of tracks here that still just didn't leave much of a mark on me. I make a note of those 4 songs specifically because they're probably the only tracks I could hum the melody to after listening through this thing nearly 3 times. They're the only songs I kinda remember. The album still has plenty of moments where it just feels like the same old pop-punk thing we've heard in a dozen other places before. I don't know. I guess it almost has Corrosion of Conformity's problem in that matter. It could also just be that I still have a glut of great 2017 pop-punk that I'm still getting a lot of mileage out of, but Waterparks still just haven't pushed me over the edge into loving them yet. I like them, and after this album I like them even more, but they still sound like a band that's trying to figure out precisely who they are and what kind of sound they want to be making. And you know what? This band still reeks of untapped potential. I certainly won't deny them that. I bet they'll totally figure it out in their next album or two. But for the time being, hey, if you need to get your 2018 pop-punk playlist started, you could certainly do worse than this. Fuck this shitty album. Entertainment gets 3.5 physical challenges out of 5. Okay, so you know how one of the core problems with both COC and Waterparks is that their respective albums didn't really do too much to push them outside of their comfort zones? Well, Machine Head sure as hell don't have that problem here, do they? Oh my god, when Bastards dropped as a single, many a metalhead's diaper was filled on that day. But man, I get why it provoked such a reaction. The song is tailor-made to be provocative. Those lyrics, those melodies, that sing-song-ass chorus that makes it feel more like a Dropkick Murphys tune than a Machine Head song. Like, wow, there's a lot on this album that is throwing people for an absolute loop. The politically charged explosion of volatile California bleedings, song structures that seem to have at least one finger stuck in the anus of glam metal, even if it is just a pinky, and Triple Beam and Razor Blade Smile. Gulp, dig into nu metal territory? Oh yeah, they totally went there. Again, this album, this is stirring some shit right now in the metal community. And like I said, I get it. I totally understand why people are kind of losing their nuggets over this thing. I mean, especially given that the last handful of Machine Head albums were really damn good. The Blackening, Unto the Locust, Bloodstone and Diamonds, all of them are fantastic metal-ass metal records. And this is a hell of a departure for them. A bold departure that's definitely turning heads and even the occasional stomach here and there. But here's the thing. I kinda like this damn record. Like, no shit, I dig it. Even if I don't always love some of the directions they took here, and again, totally understand why it's making people's jaws hit the floor, there's still just so much about this album I weirdly admire. Let me address some of the major criticisms here. Oh, it's a nu metal album, it sucks, Okay, for one, that's a bit of an exaggeration. This is not a pure nu metal album. But yeah, it does play around with a lot of nu metal elements here and there. Triple Beam is a song that's legit just straight up nu metal, but it's taken from a more modern nu metal mindset. Oh, the best way I can kind of describe it to you is like if a King 810 song were actually done right. It's weird, but it's good. Oh, the album's too political and ham-fisted, it sucks, Okay, ham-fisted? Yes, very ham-fisted. Truth be told, I do have to knock some points off for how clumsily they handle some of the topics they discuss here. Look, the record can at times kind of sound like the left-wing version of Dystopia. And hey, fair's fair, I took points off from that album for being ham-fisted. When your lyrics are clunky, they're clunky, regardless of whether or not I'd vote for you. But the political angle is really only that thick for like 2 songs. It's not as bad as some people are painting it out to be. If you aren't into politics in your metal, it doesn't hang around for too long. It's something you can skip over if you like. Unlike Dystopia. And plus, as far as lyrics go, I mean, guys, have you actually ever sat down and read some of Machine Head's lyrics, even some of the better songs? Rob Flynn, I love the guy, but he's never been known for his subtlety, you know? Some songwriters wield rapiers. Flynn's always been more of a sledgehammer guy. And the thing is, even with all of this album's very clear problems, I simply cannot hate it. Hell, I find myself rather enjoying it with every concurrent spin. It's an album that grows on you if you're willing to give it the chance to do so. And while I see and completely understand the problems people are having with it, it just gets enough stuff right that I can't be mad at it. All the riffs and soloing we've come to expect are still there. Flynn is still a terrific songwriter, even if he isn't the, most graceful of lyricists. And even though this is the weirdest feeling Machine Head record I've ever heard, it still, at the end of the day, feels like a Machine Head record to me. It's earnest, intense, and absolutely ferocious, and those are all things we've come to expect from any Machine Head record, and they still deliver here, even if they took a very circuitous route. Let me put it this way. The dictionary definition of catharsis is the process of releasing and thereby providing relief from strong or repressed emotions. And given what Flynn's gone through over the past handful of years, I can see how he would have some strong-ass emotions to want to release. This album, even though it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea for sure, I can still truly say I feel the heart, soul, and passion that Flynn and company have poured into this thing. If you're a newbie, I would say definitely don't jump onto this band with this record, and if you listen to this and just can't see past some of the album's more noticeable faults and oddities, I'm totally not gonna blame you on this one. Hell, if this is like worst album of the year material for you, I understand to a certain degree, but for all its weirdness, it's still an album I admire the hell out of. It's not every day we get an album this bold, and even if it isn't the most lovable album, I'll be damned if I don't respect the hell out of it. Catharsis gets 4 problematic faves out of 5.